Okay, what I'm going to talk to you today about is the Canoe Talk. This is how you get paid, okay? So, in order to understand the Canoe Talk, we are going to have a little lake. This is water, right? So, I know it's a good lake, right? It's got some little waves in there. And so a little green grass on this side. This is the little field over here, some trees, right? Okay, so over here we have your client. So here's your client, lives on the lake, and he's got a dock that runs down here to the lake, right? And here you are, and you made this phone call, and you qualified the appointment, and you're walking up here to the client, and you talk to him about life insurance, and you do your fact finder, and you do your life 101, and you take 3 swings, and you say, my professional recommendation is let's apply for some coverage. And the client goes, okay, let's do that. So you get out your little computer and you write that e-app, you start filling it out, okay? So the question is, how do you get paid? So here's how you get paid. Over here, and we'll say that this is the New York Life building over here on the other side of the lake, and it's got that tall dome on it. You know what color the dome is on the New York Life building? It's gold. We're going to say it's green. And why are we going to say it's green? Because I don't have a gold marker. And over there in the New York Life building, in there is what's called the underwriter. So it's behind this desk, right? Here's this person sitting there, and they're pretty analytical. They don't know anything but just look at numbers. And so you got to get that policy over to the underwriter, and they have to approve it and get it back to you, and that's how you get paid. So here's the Canoe. This is your application. So everybody knows if you had a canoe, right, and you have it in the water, we're going to say this is part 1 and this is part 2. So part 1 of canoe, if you had half a canoe, would it float? No. So part 1 of your canoe is the application. That's what that is, application. So you write that on e-app, and when we used to have paper apps and you put it in the canoe, it would take like 3 days for that thing to float over here to home office. But since we have an e-app, you put that in part 1, and on this canoe it's got a little motorboat in there, right? So it doesn't even have a sail, and so you're sitting there in the application, and it goes zipping over to home office because it's an e-app. So it gets right over to home office same day, so that canoe shows up over here, but it's only half a canoe. What happens if you have half a canoe? It's going to float all the way to the bottom, so it's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to sink. So that canoe is going to go right down here at the bottom, and you're done. We call these Brock apps. They're not signed by the client. They don't have all the information. The client said, hey, I want to do that application, but I don't have my kid's social security number, or I don't have the birthday, or I don't have whatever reason, right? In that application, you didn't get some information, or it didn't get signed, okay? Once you have all of the part 1 filled out, application's done, everybody signed it, you can put it up there on the board. That's part 1 is complete. Now you have a half a canoe, it's still not floating. What is part 2 of the canoe? What's that part? And somebody, you don't normally will say, like the blood and urine, and I'll go, no. It's not the blood and urine. When this canoe finally gets over here to the underwriter is looking for some questions that will help underwrite that policy. So what are they looking for? Well, they're looking for the meds, right? The blood and urine. They're looking for that stuff. What else are they looking for? Motor vehicle record. Motor vehicle record. MVR. What else? Maybe an APS, right? So if you did an APS, if the guy's been to the doctor a couple times, how long does it take to get an APS? I don't know. Week, 2 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, maybe a couple months. You have to make sure that that APS is in process. So every morning when you're checking your NB21, looking at the alerts, that's what all this is. The underwriter's looking to see if all those things are done. So in APS, they go to the doctor, that's an attending physician statement, okay? They're looking to see if they did any hazardous activities. So they're checking out all these requirements so the underwriter can make a decision. But the underwriter can't even look at that. This policy, this application doesn't even exist because that canoe is at the bottom of the ocean. What is part 2 of the application? I'll give you a hint. What's a canoe made out of? Wood. So this is a paper application made out of wood. Right now we have EF. And then this is a piece of paper. Or it's the non-med or the porta-med, right? So it's that medical information piece. Now, it used to be that there was a couple ways you could do that non-med. Who would do a non-med? Who does a non-med? Well, the agent does, right? So you could ask those questions yourself. Or it used to be you'd do a paramed, and that the medical person would ask those questions. Now we have tele-app. So before you leave that appointment, you're in front of that client, you fill out the application, you get them to take their phone, or you take your phone, and you call up the tele-app folks, and you connect them on the phone with your client, and they're doing that medical piece right there. It's done. So before you leave that client's house to get in the canoe, you have part 1, which is the e-app, and part 2, which is the tele-app, done. Now that application goes shooting over to underwriter so that they can check all these things and get paid. However, have you got any money yet? The answer is no. Why? What are we missing on the canoe? And here's what we're missing is when you take that application, you have to take cash, right? Mr. Conley, my office manager, used to say, coin of the realm, right? You have to have money with that application. If you don't have money with it, the policies will still come over here, the application will, and they'll still go through these things, but you're not getting paid. So you wrote an application, you got the part 2 done, the canoe shot over to underwriter, and you took cash with the application. Now let's just say, for argument's sake, so here's how you get paid, okay? This was a $100 checko. So we'll say $100 a month, okay? So how much are you gonna get paid? Well, you can do this. You can do $100 times 12 divided by 6 equals $600, right? Because that's $100 times 12, the annual, we get 55%. Or you could just take $100 times 6. I like to do it the short way, and it's, $600, all right? So once that application gets over here to the underwriter with money, the part 1 and the part 2 is in. Now that doesn't mean the medicals, they haven't checked the medical information roll, they haven't done the motor vehicle, they don't have the APS, maybe they haven't done the hazard activity form. All they've done is the part 1 and the part 2, and you got money. New York Life says you have $600 coming. They're going to give you $300 in advance. So once you get that done, which could all be same day, you can write this application, get part 1, part 2, put cash with it, same day, next day you got $300 advance. That's half of the commission. Now here's one thing I'll tell you, this $300 is always wrong. When is it wrong? It's always wrong. Every time it's wrong. It's an estimate based on the best rating possible. So they're going to estimate, and you're going to get this weird number, which is approximately $300, and it's going to say like $275 or $295. And you're going to go to Lance, you're going to go, Lance, I took a $100 check, oh, it's 55%, it should be around $650, and this says I got $275. And Lance is going to go, that's because it's always wrong. Every time, okay? It's half of the estimated annual premium, or approximately, at the best rating, all right? Now, you've got that, hit your ledger. The underwriter is gonna look at all these things. Your Canoe comes over here, and they're gonna look at the motor vehicle record, they're gonna get the APS, they're gonna get all that stuff, and pretty soon, after about 4 or 5 weeks, the underwriter is gonna go, yep, we will issue this policy, select preferred, or whatever, non-smoker, whatever the rating is. And so they're gonna send that right back over to you, and now you have a policy and you can go deliver it to the client. If you took enough money, so you took this $100 checko, if you took $100 with the application, there's enough money to pay it, and this is less than 4 weeks, or right at 4 weeks. So it's been within a month, you have enough money to pay to do it all, then New York Life's gonna say this policy is paid. Oh, and you have to have a check-o-matic form, right? And you have a check-o-matic form. So they have a way to collect more money. Then they're gonna say, hey, this is a paid policy. They're gonna take away the $300, so you're gonna see on your ledger, $300 is gonna go minus, and they're gonna advance you they're gonna give you the total of $650, let's say, okay? Now, if you didn't collect enough money, or you didn't have the check-o-matic form, then they're not gonna pay that case. They're gonna send it, by the way, if they pay the case, now you have it. If you don't deliver it to the client in 45 days, they're gonna come back to your ledger and say, hey, we paid you and you didn't deliver it, so they're gonna take off the $650. That's in 45 days. So you have 45 days to deliver it. Don't let those policies sit on your desk. Get them out, get them delivered. But let's say that you didn't have the check-o-matic form, or you didn't collect enough money, so they never paid you the $300 in advance. So now, or the $600. So now you're sitting there with that $300 in advance, and you've got the policy, and now you can go deliver it. When you go deliver it then to the client, you collect whatever the additional requirements are, which usually maybe there's a little more money, or maybe the check-o-matic form. Once you get those requirements, you turn into the office, and then they again go to your ledger and subtract $300, and they give you the whole $650. Okay? So that's how you get paid. The fastest way to do it, use EAP, get the TEL app done right there. Be sure and collect money with the application. Shoots right over here to underwriting. Check your MB21, get all these things off. You should be checking this every day, every other day. Where are all my policies in the system? Check with the girls. How come this isn't done? How come this isn't done? Nobody cares, I tell people this all the time, nobody cares about you getting paid on your business more than you do. Check and make sure all those requirements are getting done. They're getting the telephone inspection report, everything's done, so that the underwriter can make a decision and you can get that policy back to the client. All right? Questions? Lance, any questions? No? Okay.